This meeting is being recorded. There's only 2 people in
Usually I can see the table and everything. Well, you know, because there's like a conference room that has.
Because you just see the traffic in the morning, it would be backed up for like a mile.
I would try to turn.
Yeah. I'm a person that I would always go right to go left, right?
Oh, yeah. Exactly. That's what I would probably do.
Yeah, I would do that.
Especially if you can go by the people waiting to go left. And,
yeah. So I just, anyway.
Good morning.
Not what you want on the highway.
Can you guys hear us on Zoom?
I just heard this morning on my 70 call that they dropped that $10 fee.
So we have a lot of
attendance
on Zoom this morning. If you could please do your introduction in the chat so that I have it for the meeting notes, that would be really helpful. And we'll do some intros in the room.
Good morning, I'm Craig Letts with Project Wildfire Consulting.
Hi, I'm Lon Lemay with Aubrey Butte HOA.
Howdy, Deschutes County Commissioner.
Kevin Moriarty, County Forester.
Corinne Heiner, Deschutes County Fire Adapted Communities Coordinator. Looks like not very many people wanted to brave the snow in Clinton. It's pretty cold out there. So go ahead and keep putting in your introduction in the chat for me, please. And this morning, excuse me. We're going to do some updates and go back over the topics and program of work. Since we didn't meet in December, just want to go over the notes for that and make sure that if anyone has any more topic ideas, we get those saved for the next year. And Kevin, do you have any grant updates?
Yeah. So let's see. For the sweat equity stuff, we got 13 communities right now signed up. We need to get that on the website for anyone else who needs to sign up for that. We do have a little bit of time. The idea would be able to get a bunch of bin rentals during the Fire Free event. And right now we have Republic we got an agreement with Republic where we can get them at a low cost. So we just need to work with Cascade to get the similar agreement. But regardless, we'll be able to.
Do you know what the cost is then? I mean,
it's $200 a bin.
what size of bin?
Any size, so large all the way down to small.
And is the county paying for that?
Yes. Yeah, we should. So far, with the request we've had right now, we should be able to pay for it. I don't know what Cascade's going to charge, but even if it is significantly more than that, we should be able to cover that as well. And we'll use our sweat equity funding.
Is this Wildfire?
So,
It is.
yes.
Good job.
Can I sit over here? Or is it,
Of course.
Very good, thank you.
And then let's see, just made a form for the debris hauling. There was a handful of folks that were interested in that. So I'll send that out to the folks that are interested. We'll also get that posted. Really just want to know what vendors have been used in the past for each community on what they've done. It sounds like some folks have used landscape companies or some other organizations. We just kind of need to know who is doing the work for you, and is there a way that we can provide that service as well? So it'll be similar to sweat equity. I'll send out a form, get some information, and then we can start trying to organize on who needs that work.
Kevin, would that be something the county would also maybe fund?
Yes. Yeah. So I think for debris hauling and the bin rentals, we have enough funding for that. It's really the chipping that I can't say with certainty that we're going to have enough funding. We just need to see what the interest is with this stuff first. And then let's see, with the BLM Community Assistance Agreement, I think we're going to go ahead and create an official announcement for that. Last year, we did have a handful of folks that we did some work with, but I think at this point, to make it as equitable as possible, we're going to create an official announcement for that. So we have about $90,000 towards contracted services. So this is going to work pretty differently than the Firewise or fuel reduction contract. Essentially, we're looking for about 3 or 4 projects this year. And those projects will be contracted services. So it'll essentially be an agreement between Deschutes County and whatever community was awarded the project. And so the way it's worked currently is once we work with a community, I set up a contract, we get the work done, and then the contract, the vendor invoices me directly for the work. So there really is no changing of money to the community itself. It's really just contracted services. So stay posted on that. I'm hoping to get that out, the announcement out at the end of this month, and put it out for about a month. So between February and March. We do have a pretty sizable timeline on that. There is no reporting due until 2025, but I would anticipate whoever was awarded that we would get the work done during 2024. Eligible projects will be defensible space projects, ingress egress projects, and then any kind of BLM land protection like fuel breaks. So we would definitely prioritize communities over individual property owners, but there's not going to be a Firewise component on this. So you don't have to be certified as a Firewise site to be eligible. We just want to make sure that we're reaching out a little bit farther into some of the other communities. And then to tag onto that, there is also a BLM, Bureau of Land Management announcement right now for a very similar agreement that we have with the county. We can send that out with the notes, and Heather Miller did send that out previously, but it's very similar. I think it's a agreement that you can apply for. It's a minimal award of $20,000 and a maximum award of $950,000. Again, what they're looking for is protection of BLM land. I mean, is really kind of the premise of the agreement. So any defensible space, ingress egress routes, and then fuel breaks as well. And then the organizations that are eligible are state governments, county governments, city or township governments, special districts, independent school districts, public or state institutions, Native American tribal governments, public housing, and nonprofits. So pretty good group out there. If you're not eligible or your community, please kind of spread the word, and we'll send that out in our meeting notes, the official announcement of that grant. Any questions or comments?
So when you say special district, exactly what are you referring to?
Especially
a Firewise community?
A special district's like Ben Park and Rec. It's like a affiliated district, like school districts, I think are called special districts. So, you know, it's not going to be eligible for an individual property owner, but a nonprofit like Deschutes Land Trust or someone like that could be eligible for it. There are HOAs that are nonprofits, so they could potentially apply as well. But yeah, it wouldn't be eligible for like an individual grant owner. But it seems like a good grant opportunity out there, and I think there's some communities out there would be eligible and probably a good fit for that grant.
Could you give us an example?
Eagle Crest would be a really good example.
Didn't they have a couple $100,000 worth of work done like a year or two ago?
They have, but
they could be eligible.
They'd be eligible for this grant. They're adjacent to BLM land. They're a nonprofit. They have a large community base, so they would be a good fit for something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So Eagle Crest, are you listening? Please apply again.
Yeah.
Because remember, juniper trees are sucking up the, what is the word? The moisture every day.
So yeah, we'll send out that official announcement in our meeting notes so everyone can take a look at it. But I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew about that funding opportunity. And that's all I have on grant stuff.
Any other updates?
Not really too much right now. You know, kind of in the lull of the fuels work right now because of all the snow. But you know, we are, you know, once the snow melts out a little bit, we have a few projects that we're working on. White's Canyon Estates is a project we're working on right now. We're using that BLM funding to do the work. I've got a handful of homeowners out east of town that I also have a BLM agreement on. And then we just have some other work going on in the county as well, like on our East Redmond project. Our property out in East Redmond, we're doing an additional 131 acres of treatment out there, cutting juniper trees. So trying to just open that up a little bit more.
This is on county land?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that East Redmond property. But right now, just with all the snow, we're kind of, yeah, not doing too much.
Question on the grant, back to grants. The sweat equity grant is as an HOA. When would you think we'd get communication about kind of the final, what the final looks like as far as the program and timing and all that?
For like the bin rentals or
bin rentals and that, because it's during May, right?
Sometime I think we could get everything solidified probably beginning of April. So we have all the identified communities, all the identified or the number of bins for each community, and then what vendor they'd be using.
Sure.
We could probably have that all finalized by the,
we have a Firewise meeting this afternoon, and I just, as far as communicating to our owners in the next couple of months.
I think are you Republic or
Republic? So we use them for both bins.
Yeah, anyone who's using Republic, that one's going to be pretty easy.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, pretty straightforward. It's really working with Cascade. We just don't have an agreement with them yet.
Is it for the whole month that we'd have bins, or is it sort of a limited period? Really? Right?
Yeah.
We were actually thinking we'd need to go down to 2 weeks this year just for cost.
Yeah, but no, we could. I mean, as long as it's not unreasonable, you know, I'd say even up to 4 or 5 weeks, you know, something reasonable. Kind of what our Firewise or our Fire Free kind of runs 6 weeks on average. So, I would say that we could have bins for that period of time.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
So you're saying you could fill it like every 3 days and just keep a bin in the neighborhood?
Mm-hmm.
At least one, or could you have more than one?
Yeah, you can have more than one. I mean, it just depends on the size of the neighborhood. I think
Right.
For how many bins you guys?
We have 4 bins,
Yeah.
2 in 2 locations. We typically have them for a month. We're having them dumped every other day.
Yeah.
But last year, Republic got really picky with the people filled them up a little bit over the top. They wouldn't take them. So this year we were thinking we might go 2 weeks, but have them dumped every day because they pretty much fill up.
Right.
So we should think about what that, if that's gonna be adjusted and probably do a better job both with Republic and our owners about making sure we don't overfill them. So we had talked, that's what we had talked about, especially the popular ones. There's one area is more popular than the other.
Yeah.
And so when that fills up quickly, they go to the other one, and you get people throwing stuff on, rounding it off, topping it off. And so back to your question, we were thinking about going to daily dumps just to avoid that issue of, because they won't dump until somebody goes in there and fixes it.
Yeah.
It's not the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, those
Like
little,
with a chainsaw.
No, somebody's got to go in there and take some out or dump it, stamp it down or whatever. So you got to climb in there.
yeah.
And, we use the 30-footer.
With a cherry picker, right?
Well, hopefully, no, it's done with manual.
I know.
Yeah, exactly. But they won't do it. The Republic guys won't do it. So, and I took pictures of a couple of them, and it was pretty wimpy, I thought, because it was just barely over.
Right.
Yeah.
And but they've kind of changed their approach to that.
Okay.
But that's great to know if you could do it, have them dumped every day.
It's expensive though.
Right.
I mean, the transportation costs everything. The bins are cheap.
Mm-hmm.
It's the transportation is expensive.
Do we have any questions on Zoom about grants or sweat equity? No. The other announcement that we have right now would be just that we are in the process of filling a couple of vacancies and also figuring out renewals for the steering committee. Looks like we have 6 vacancies currently, and possibly more because I'm still waiting to hear back from the 7 people who are up for renewal. I've heard back from, I think, 4 of them that want to renew, so we could have 6 to 9 vacancies. So if you are interested or know somebody that is interested, go ahead and send me an email and figure out getting those seats filled for the steering committee. All right, is that all we got for updates and grants? Keep asking you. Okay, and then so I do want to also go over the topics that we came up with. Let's see, I guess November, since we didn't meet in December. It'll work. You see it. It's sharing on the Zoom, but it's not sharing on our end. There you go. All right, so these are the topics that everyone came up with in November that they're interested for presentations or things to go over, updates. People are looking forward to hearing throughout the year. And just wanted to open that back up and see if there was anyone that wanted to add anything to it, or yeah, just any other ideas to work towards for 2024. Just check it.
Pretty good list.
Yeah. Anyone on Zoom have any comments or ideas? Open up for discussion.
Yes, Corrine?
Is that Dean?
Yes, good morning. I thought of another topic. We have our work that we need to do in the different communities, but who's doing it is important. And I thought we might have a presentation from one or more contractors. A couple groups that I had in mind. One is like tree service, which does a lot of the defensible space work, and the other one would be let's see, what is the other one? Landscapers. So it would be good to have, I think, a presentation on trees from a tree service, one or more tree service contractors, and we could have Q&A and clarify some of that. And then also with the landscapers, a lot of them might not be really aware of the particular needs we have for doing landscaping that's smart as far as wildfire mitigation. Thanks.
Thanks, Dean. I'm also going to try to get Ariel Cowan for a discussion and presentation on the fire resistant plant guide. So that is also good for the landscaping side.
Corinne, it might be buried in there in one of those topics, but this afternoon, or excuse me, Thursday, we have a Project Wildfire Coalition, Neighborhood Coalition meeting, and Heather Miller is going to present or lead the discussion on home hardening. So I don't know if that's a separate topic you'd want to have up there or just combine it with defensible space.
Yeah. Home hardening would also be a good thing up there with defensible space, and I'm curious, like in our areas, who would be doing that work. I'm thinking maybe a really good handyman type.
Great.
Corinne?
Yeah.
One topic would be, you're known as IBHS, the National Association that insurance companies have. They've got a program called Wildfire Prepared Homes, and it's currently a process that is active in California. There's an opportunity for Central Oregon to become qualified to have certified wildfire prepared homes. There are some insurance companies that are actually asking for that now in California. And I could share information on the website for your notes.
IBHS would be a good organization to communicate about this.
Yes.
Okay, good, we got that. Everyone that's kind of like involved in the insurance
Yeah, the program, if you Google wildfire prepared home, but it is from IBHS, which is the Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety.
Great, thank you. Anyone else on Zoom have any more ideas? Pretty good.
I just have a question for the room though. My home insurance went up 30% and USAA. And then I met somebody else in Sun River and theirs went up exactly 30% too. So I'm just wondering.
Hi, Patty. This is Andy with Country Insurance. Can you hear me?
Yes, hi.
Yeah, I'm presenting next week or next month, I should say. And so I'm going to try to give some feedback on those kinds of things, what I'm experiencing in my practice, as well as, Southern Deschutes County from a home insurance perspective. So I hope to have some more detail to share with the group next month.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. Look forward to that.
We got just non-renewals.
Oh, wow.
Who's your carrier?
Nationwide was.
Nationwide, okay.
Yeah.
Was it Forefront that does a lot of the manufacturing? And what I had heard is, in fact, we had a presentation a month ago on insurance at the coalition meeting. And I think it's Forefront will no longer cover manufactured homes in Oregon. And then there's a couple other carriers, especially like in certain zip codes like Sisters and Pine, and that they may renew, but they're not writing any new business. Andy, does that jive with what you know?
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. Foremost is actually the manufactured home company that is doing a lot of the non-renewals. And if they are lucky enough to get renewed, the client that, sometimes those manufactured home premiums are doubling in 1 year. So it's really on a case-by-case basis based on the insurance carrier's wildfire risk overlay map, and each carrier has their own proprietary overlay. It's not necessarily exactly what the state of Oregon's doing, but it's been a rough 2023 with home insurance where I do my practice. So I'm seeing exactly what you guys are talking about. In fact, 30% is probably the average on every carrier that Patty mentioned with hers. So.
And where are you based out of then?
I'm in Lapine. I'm in Southern Deschutes County. So my primary markets are Sun River, Lapine, North Klamath County.
So I'm glad to know I was average then. Ooh, that looks bad. You can just see what that's going to do to our mortgage payment, right?
We'll be happy.
And then our property taxes went up 5.5%. And I'm going like, well, Wells Fargo has already sent me a love letter. I gotta find it.
But I like the IBHS discussion because they're like a level above what Firewise standards are. I mean, we've gone to recommending IBH standards to the HOAs and homeowners that we work with just because of the link to the insurance industry, and that's really the driver for a lot of people to get this work done. And go like take the extra steps of doing the added requirements, because hopefully that will translate into insurance savings or even coverage in the future. So that's a really good discussion for us to have, I think.
So IBHS is probably the closest organization to the insurance industry.
Yeah.
And it may become the de facto kind of risk
minimum
assessment.
So a minimum level of balancing your yard and your home.
Right.
I knew them mostly from Wind Hazard. They have a huge lab down in, I think, South Carolina now. where they do wind hazard testing for hurricane and high velocity wind zones.
Do they have any presence? I mean, they present to, can they present to people like us? Would be cool.
Yeah.
I'll share. Okay.
I know we have to go to the highest level. I'm the person in the room that had fire go around my house. So yeah, and there's just some things you can do. And when I drive around here, I see firewood stacked up next to their house, and I'm always like, you know, that is just like your insurance company is going to tell you no. So anyway, it's just simple things a lot of times.
Kevin, there's another program. Are you familiar with ICC 605? ICC is the organization that puts building code and fire code together.
International Council.
Exactly. And they've got wind standards, hurricane standards. They're creating a wildfire construction standard. And it's called ICC 605. I can send them, Karina, a link to that information. And it's one of the things that they're working on is a national standard for how do we deal with the built environment. And it would be a mix of, if you do this in your yard for your existing home and do more than the minimum, here's a certain level that you're at. That's one of the things that they're trying to work from. Yeah. And it would be a basis for updating and revising the international buoy code and any other kind of building codes, and kind of creating a framework for code developers and common terminology and a starting point, because there's differences throughout the entire state. And my idea of what it'll end up being would be, if my house is this risk and I do more in my yard, I can meet a certain mitigation level. So we have fire hazard severity zones, which there's like community level, but this would be an evaluation or an assessment of my property and mitigation levels. I did non-combustible after 30 feet to mitigate the hazard for my home from being on the top of a slope. So it would be kind of characterizing those different aspects of taking your site evaluation or your site assessment and how to mitigate it, and in a nationally recognized standard.
Yeah. Is there a representative from ICC that we could?
That is IPHS is heavily involved in it. It's their part of daily.
So maybe that's
yes.
Combined, we just find.
So it's a group of fire folks and industry people and building officials that are trying to create a common framework so a designer could meet a standard like for wind, but do that for wildfire hazards.
Yeah.
There's a local chapter, probably. I don't know whether there's a Eastern Oregon local chapter of ICC. There is there. Yeah, so there's someone around who could perhaps come and speak or could be an interface for us.
One of the solutions for wildfire prepared homes would be having Oregon or part of Oregon, Central Oregon, have qualified evaluators. That's what they're working on right now in California. So one concept would be work with the building officials and the Fire Chiefs Association to have a permit process specifically to have someone come out and evaluate your wildfire prepared home for the two different levels that they have. So then that way it would actually be I want to pay for someone to show that I did this extra work and I'm going to get credit for it. And official and building official come out, and it creates a permit process and a funding mechanism for it. That's a simplistic starting point for what do we do with our built environment.
Yeah.
And then eventually roll that into what this new standard is going to be. That's going to take a year or two for that, for creating different mitigation.
So there's a Central Oregon chapter.
SEC.
Updates to the 2019 Oregon Structural Specialty Code. I don't know how current. Message from the president from October of 2020. So maybe COVID did it in. I don't know. Let's see.
And we could work with the folks out of Salem for the state.
Yeah, sure. Figure out what the current setup is.
See, that was the interesting thing about being in LA County. The fire department came by your place if you were in that zone every year, and they give you a checklist. And if you did not do, they, it would cost you like 5 times more for them to do it. But they looked at property every year.
And they had the right to go in and
fix
it if you did.
Yeah, right. They did have the right. So, but it was, interesting.
Great ideas. Any other topic ideas? Anything you're not seeing on here that you want to hear about?
Hi, this is Carolyn Dahlberg from Tollgate, but I do have a question. What does IVHS actually stand for?
Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
There's only one in that in their moniker, but that's what it is.
Yeah. They have a Wildfire Prepared Home is a great website with all kinds of tools for both homeowners and industry professionals as well. So it's really informational.
Great, thank you so much.
Dean?
Yes, as far as the assessment, I think that the different fire districts really don't have the capacity to do assessments. And so to really scale up assessments for communities, there needs to be a lot more volunteers. And if there's not enough volunteers, they get burnt out. So that's just my comment on that. I think it's a good idea to do as many assessments as we can, but the capacity is really not there at all. And in Southern Oregon, they've been trying to do that, and they're backlogged for months, and they're concerned that the people that have stepped up to do assessments don't have the time, and they get burnt out. Thanks.
Did you say, does ICC have assessment capabilities? They don't?
No, they just have those codes and standards.
Right, they don't have a team that would participate with the communities right now.
But that one concept of creating a local permit process, it creates a funding mechanism for folks that are able to pay for the service and actually get a certification.
Right.
Down the in California, the California Fire Safety Council has worked over the last 2 years to create home ignition zone inspectors and targeting county fire safe councils, which would also be fire-wise communities that make up that. And they're creating certified individuals in California to do defensible space inspections, which also includes input on home hardening. It's not a mandated process. It's not code relevant. And one of the things that the state fire marshal is doing is supporting that program for home inspection zone inspectors, and then including those numbers and counts in what the fire service is doing for defensible space inspections. So in that way, there are people that meet a certain level and criteria. And that way it's one impact that they're trying to put together in resolving what the gentleman just shared, that there's not enough folks doing these evaluations. And it is different with the jurisdictions are regulatory. The home inspection zone are volunteers and community oriented, and all the way down to my Firewise neighborhood. And it would just be a volunteer aspect, but it's credible. It's a credible process.
Greg, you have something to share?
Yeah. The only thing I'm going to say is I have a heart, I can go out and do assessments, but I don't have anybody that wants an assessment done. I mean, it's an educational problem of the residences, the fact that we aren't there to regulate. We're just trying to help them keep it wildfire safe. But you know, I got so many residents out here, but nobody wants to get an assessment.
Yeah. Definitely gotta want the assessment. And Heather Miller says, with the passage of Senate Bill 762, the Oregon State Fire Marshal almost doubled deputy state fire marshal staffing to help with defensible space assessments. And they're supposed to support more local jurisdictions. Thanks for sharing that, Heather. All right. Any other suggestions of topics, or are we ready to move on? Okay. Kevin, is there any other program of work that you wanted to go over? I know we talked about hopefully doing a barbecue this year.
Yeah, no, that's I think two things. Steering committee meeting. We need to make sure we have an actual steering committee meeting where we're just meeting as a steering committee for folks who are still part of that. Again, Corinne had mentioned we do have some openings right now. We had a handful of folks that haven't really attended meetings in the last year and might not have the interest that they have in years past. So we are definitely recruiting for new members for steering committee. And then we just need to have a meeting to kind of garner more input as we put together our presentations for the year. And then the other thing would be our middle of June meeting. Planning on having a barbecue for that down in Sun River if Patty's still willing on that, but I believe so. But that would be nice. We could just, have an outdoor meeting. We could go over accomplishments, make it a lot more informal than, we have in these meetings, and just, kind of a meet and greet time for different communities to get together and share stories and experiences and just kind of highlight the accomplishments for the last year or two. That's really all I have for additional stuff.
Patty says, happy to have a barbecue in Sun River. Thanks, Patty. And then Heather also shared that we can sign up for defensible space assessment, courtesy only at OregonDefensibleSpace.org.
Say that again. Oregon Central.
It's OregonDefensibleSpace.org.
Yeah.
And that's where you'll get signed up to get your property assessed by the fire marshal. And then Heather, is that the one that you and Ariel are doing? Those assessments, or is it just the fire marshal?
No, the OregonDefensibleSpace.org and those assessments, those are based on the Oregon Defensible Space Code, and what Ariel and I are doing, we're just teaching a class on best practices, so it's different.
Okay, great, thank you.
Heather, this is Lon. Do you have any of those classes scheduled now?
Sorry, Lon, you cut out there. Do I have any what?
Do you have any of those classes scheduled?
Not at this time. We are working on trying to generate an interest list. And so I can post the QR code if people want to set up. If people want to sign up for it again. But we're working on trying to schedule some classes coming up.
Well, maybe we can talk Thursday. We will definitely have some that would be interested.
Okay.
I'll review.
Great. Yeah, and the QR code for that is also in the newsletter, which will be coming out this month. So,
hey, Corinne, I was looking at the website, just trying to find this meeting. There have not been any minutes posted since 2022, right?
Yeah, so our website is currently being serviced.
Okay.
Yeah. So as soon as we get some errors, there's a few things going on with it. We had to hire somebody to fix it. So as soon as that gets done, they're gonna help me upload.
Okay. Great.
Yeah. I do have all the minute videos posted on the YouTube channel.
Oh,
so they are there. Yeah.
I didn't know you had a YouTube channel.
Yeah. Yeah, Project Wildfire. All right. Anything else before I start our roundtable? Oh, and actually, I do have one other. I just wanted to say in this meeting, we did change our meeting day for the Project Wildfire Neighborhood Coalition Subcommittee. So we're going to be meeting on the third Thursday of the month at the County Road Department, and we're doing 2 to 3:30 now. There's a couple of conflicts on the Wednesdays, so we'll move that over. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and switch gears to our roundtable, and I'll start in the room. Did you have anything you want to share with the roundtable today?
I'm Bob Lichty. I work with the Woodgie Creek HOA. We submitted our application and it's been approved. It was approved in December. So we're recognized as a wildfire community now. I think that Woodgie homeowner and Elky Woods, now that entire area is covered by wildfire recognition. As part of that, of course, you're all aware we put together a 3-year plan. It's pretty heavily focused on defensible space in the immediate zone around dwelling structures for next year.
Great.
Looking forward to probably some of what you discussed when I came in, as far as bins and things like that for property cleanup and brush removal.
Okay. Great.
Marco Mack, I'm a retired firefighter from California, live in Culver, and interested in helping Jefferson County with wildfire risk reduction, and have a strong background in that from Santa Cruz County area and Santa Cruz County Fire Safe Council, and interested in helping develop some of our creating fire-wise neighborhoods, but also working with our rangeland associations. And then interested in what the state fire marshal is going to be doing this next year for meeting the state's specification for what counties need to do to ensure that there's wildfire protection in their county.
Do you live in Jefferson County? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, for Tamarack, work just keeps chunking along. We're Tethero's doing a lot of work in their common areas. They were making pretty good progress until the weather changed. Hard to run mowers in the snow, but they're doing quite a bit of work there. And then we've been working with the North Ram Motors Association lately, and they're close to letting a contract to do some pretty significant fuels reduction work, both in their common areas and on their lots, individual lots. They have some really interesting CCNRs in that subdivision. And then, you know, all the other HOAs that we're working with are just chugging along. Aubrey Butte's doing a great job. We're trying to develop some mapping products for Aubrey Butte that may hopefully help them, you know, kind of do more targeted assessment work and remediation work and have kind of a talking point to work with some of the homeowners there. So that's what we've been working on.
So I'm Lon Lenny with Aubrey Butte and working with Craig, and we have a Firewise meeting this afternoon, and probably our biggest focus for 2024 is going to be just what Craig mentioned. We've kind of gone through phase one of our assessments. So we have 781 properties, and we've already done about 305, I think it is, assessments of those properties. But phase one, we asked for volunteers that wanted to have assessments done, set up a process to get all that done, and went great, but we're running out of those people. So with the zone mapping, what we're hoping to do is somewhat risk assessed, but more just almost logistically easier to go to a certain part of our 600-acre community and reach out to the homeowners saying we're going to be in the area based on these zone maps and that sort of thing, and request that they allow us to come in and do an assessment. So we're hoping that this phase two is successful in getting several hundred more sort of asked volunteers to get us to the next level of get us to 500 or 600 assessments, and then we'll deal with phase three, which are the people that really are stubborn and don't want to have anything done. But we're working with Tamarack, and so far, and we're going to review that today. It's looking really good as to how we can strategize on making that zone map be a really meaningful way to get in front of people. So that's, and then we're resetting our 2024 objectives we'll do that today and kind of evaluate how we did against 2023. But we've made really good progress. We've been doing this for a year and a half, almost 2 years now, but a year and a half. So, you know, we've got a good dent in it, and the fire-free events and the fuel disposal events are huge events in our community too. And then I mentioned it a couple different times, but Thursday afternoon, as Corinne mentioned, we will have Project Wildfire Coalition, or Neighborhood Coalition meeting out at the Roadhouse from 3 to 4:30. And again, Heather Miller is going to be leading a discussion on home hardening, amongst other things. We really focus on recruiting people to that, educating people that, and mentoring those communities, either Firewise or pre-Firewise, that want to have access to resources for, you know, that the coalition is putting together. So we welcome anybody to come to our Thursday meeting this Thursday at the road department. It's also on Zoom, so you can attend that way as well, but please come if you're able to.
What company did you run before you were retired?
Several different ones.
That's not, I know, this is great. You're almost at 50% of your community. So that's really impressive, and I hope people are paying attention.
We've had a good start, but it's getting into the early adopters we've gone through. Yes. so
you have quite a good form too, pardon me? You have quite a good assessment form.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we spent some time on that and refined it a little bit, but we did it early on. Tamarack helped us with that, as did Patty and a bunch of communities that we had met with early. They just loaded us with information, and whether it be forms or processes and that sort of thing. And that's kind of what we're trying to have the coalition do, is not make all the communities go and reinvent the wheel. We're trying to share all of our resources and information in one common area where a community can come in and just have access to, whether it's mentorship or resources or forms or whatever. So but we had a lot of help getting started a couple of years ago.
It's excellent to hear. I think it's so important. So, it's really appreciated. Anyway, I'm still working on getting rid of junipers, and I did hear this morning on my 7 a.m. call that Senator Steiner's group had done, all their work, and that $10 fee that all property owners in Oregon were going to have to pay, that was immediately removed last week, I believe, in Salem. So I think there's 2 different bills now that they're looking at as far as state legislation for the short session.
All right, we'll move to online. Dean?
Yes, thank you. kudos to Aubrey Butte for their persistence and efforts to evaluate, the different properties. But Gregory brought up a situation I think that might be more common in the communities, in that people aren't asking for assessments, and there isn't really like a team in place to do the assessments. And in the Deschutes River Woods, where Gregory is, they actually have a homeowners association. I'm not sure exactly how functional it is, but a lot of communities don't have a homeowners association. And so the communication and education is going to be really important, just to get people aware of how important it is to have their property assessed. The insurance situation might be a driver for that. Yeah, that's the unorganized communities. A lot of times are the ones that need it the most. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. All right. So we have a lot of people online. There's about 24 of you, and I'd love to hear what any roundtable topics that need to be shared. Go ahead and raise your hand.
Hi, this is. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Greg. And I think there was someone else, but yeah, if you'd like to share, please raise your hand just so we know that who's speaking.
Yeah, only thing I was going to say, the Deschutes River Woods is a neighborhood association. So in other words, we don't get money. We have to ask for membership, and we only got like 60 or 70 people as volunteers. So in our association, which I'm a treasurer, but from a fire-wise standpoint, probably won't be able to get out and do much until after the snow's gone. But I have been in contact with Heart of Oregon, and they'll start doing more property work here in March. So that's good. That means I have to get out there and get more locations for them to do. So that's good. Other than that, I'll be busy once the snow clears. Sorry, I was late here. I had to thaw out my water line. I didn't have any water pressure. Bye.
Thanks, Greg. Andy?
Yeah, I'll put my email in the chat, but also if you could send anything to Corrine of specific things you would like me to see if I can address when I talk about home insurance next month, and that would be helpful for me to make the information as valuable to the group as possible. So I'll put my email in the chat, and then send me what you're wanting more information on, and I'll do my best to share that next month. Thanks.
Thanks, Andy. We're looking forward to that presentation. Carolyn?
Hi, this is Carolyn Dahlberg from Tollgate, and I wanted to pass on. We have been working with the Upper Deschutes Watershed Coalition, and have marked, I don't know, over 100 trees, juniper trees, that they want to come and they will evaluate. We marked them with ribbons first, so if there was feedback from homeowners or people about not wanting a certain one taken for some reason, but they're all in the common area, and we're looking forward to moving forward to remove a bunch of those junipers.
That's great.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Uh-huh.
I'm very happy.
All right. Anyone else? Roundtable topics? Heather, you got anything?
I have two more announcements.
I think you guys got me for most everything. I think I'd just like to offer for any of the HOAs that are planning their annual meetings and such. I'm happy to come and do a presentation for anyone on defensible space and things of that sort if people are wanting that. Other than that, yeah, just keep an eye out for any class announcements if you're interested in taking those. And yeah, we're just some of the different agencies are working together to try to put together presentations for different events coming up.
Great, thank you. Todd?
Yeah, hi everybody. Todd Pepperland from Deschutes Soil Water Conservation District. Say, I just want to let people know that we are going to have a partnership meeting. We have 3 of them scheduled. One is in January 31st, and that's at the East Side Library in Bend. The other one is February 6th, 1 to 3, again, same location, and February 14th, 1 to 3, again, at the East Side Library. And what this is it's a way for partners to collaborate with partners for the SWCD to talk about what their roles are in Deschutes County and also to find those gaps that the Deschutes SWCD could probably fill. This is open to all partners, so we encourage folks to come to these meetings. You can find out a little bit more on our webpage. And I just thought I'd bring that up to folks so we could get your interpretation of what goes on in helping the resources in Deschutes County and also to direct the Deschutes SWCD as well.
Great, thanks, Todd. And you said you had a couple things?
Yeah, just a couple more announcements. So I don't know if folks are aware of this, but we Deschutes County, we submit an annual report every year for smoke for the Bend smoke sensitive receptor area. It's a community response plan annual report. We go over kind of all the information that we provide on smoke management in the greater Bend area, and we turn that in every year. Some of the highlights were there was no intrusions this year within the Bend SSRA, which means that when all the prescribed fire was happening this spring, they weren't getting too much smoke into the area, so that's a good thing. And then also the qualified pool is up for renewal right now. So we have the new RFP out for our fuel reduction qualified pool. If folks aren't familiar with that, we create a expedited process to get vendors signed up to a process that they can do fuel treatments on the ground. Last year we had 14 vendors part of that qualified pool. We're always soliciting for more. So if you know any new companies or anyone who would like to be a part of that, have them reach out to me directly and I can send them out the RFP and they can sign up to be part of that qualified pool. I think we had, I added a couple more this year, so potentially could have to maybe 16 vendors on that list this year.
Is that the contractor list you post?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the ones that seem to be the most active in doing fuel reduction work around here. And then, you know, not only are they, it doesn't help for me when I'm creating contracts, but it creates an easy list that I can send out to communities that they can choose off that list too for fuel reduction work.
I heard we needed more local companies to be on that list.
We definitely do. You know, I think everyone's really busy and they're really committed to a lot of work, so it's hard to take on bigger projects. You know, we have niche kind of we have like landscape companies and tree service companies, but I would say like broad scale fuel reduction companies. They're few and far between. There's only a couple out there. So that would probably be the biggest need I see, is to doing more landscape type fuel treatments.
What kind of qualifications are required?
The biggest thing is the insurance. So having adequate insurance, I think it's $2 million on the insurance. And then just being a reputable business. You know, if you're a new vendor on our pool, we usually like to see some past work experience, you know, past projects. But once you're part of the pool and you've been part of it and you've gained that reputation, you know, you pretty much are accepted for the next year. But you know, we ask for estimates on types of work. So, you know, thinning and trimming, brushing, chipping, things like that, all the fuel reduction types of activities. We ask for estimates on that so we can get a pretty good idea of who can do what at what cost. So I'd say insurance and estimates are the two things.
Licensing and bonded and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And the insurance for the.
Yeah.
And that list is that on the Project Wildfire website?
No, it's not correct.
Okay. So so the most recent list, Kevin, how would we access that list?
The most recent list I just send out to anyone who's interested.
Okay. Could you send that to me, please?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Will that go on the website though once it's?
We could potentially put it on the website. Yeah. Yeah.
Because we've always found that remediation resources is the biggest stumbling block for people to get something done.
Yeah.
And so we have our own contractor list. So we have a list of like 4 or 5 people. In fact, well, it won't be this meeting, but next meeting, and then the new one's coming in to talk to their Firewise committee and make sure that everything can be added to the list. But we've spent a lot of time really focusing on getting those resources increased because it's the number one reason people don't do something. Can't find anybody to do the work.
Yeah.
Yes, as my dentist was shoveling snow yesterday morning in Redmond. Yeah, the snow company that was supposed to be there at 7 or 7 wasn't there.
Yeah.
I got a better deal.
Yeah.
And there is a list on the Project Wildfire website. It's just dated, just so you know that.
Yeah, I thought there was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we're having we have to update a lot of things on our Project Wildfire website, but we were having issues with the website itself. Just like we kind of dealt with this with our Central Oregon Fire Info website. It just had a backlog of maintenance issues. So we have used the same vendor that's maintaining that Central Oregon Fire Info to maintain our Project Wildfire website as well. And so hopefully once we get that all the maintenance issues done, we can really update some of those things.
That's the goal. Okay. All right, last call for Zoom. Any roundtable takers? Right. I don't have anything else. No, we're kind of early here.
No, well, yeah. Presentation next meeting.
Yeah. Yeah. Next month. It is, I believe. Yeah, February 20th. Andy Newson's going to present for us from Country Financial Insurance about home insurance. So like he said, if you have any specific topics or ideas you want to hear about, he did put his email in the chat. Send those his way. Otherwise, thank you, everyone. Stay safe out there in all the snow.
Thanks.
It's great. You did one last year.
Yes.
Yes, I know. It's like it's a balance. And to me, there's such a lack of stability. People that come in and they're paying a lot of money and they don't want to